Welcome in fans of all teams of the NFL, not just Chargers fans this time. This will be my first full first round NFL mock draft, picking for every team. This is what I would do, not what I think is going to happen. Obviously, I have zero sources, zero insider information. So I don't know what teams like. I don't know who teams like, who interviewed well. This is what I would do from the outside looking in at their roster, my opinion of their roster, what I think it is currently, where I think they're headed, as well as my opinion on this draft class. Fans of every team, subscribe, comment, leave a like, argue. I'm a Chargers fan. If you're a Raiders fan, today was probably a rough day for you. Or Bears fans, you guys could view the Khalil Mack trade in a positive light, I guess. Chargers fans were obviously pretty happy. I mostly cover Chargers related content, but I also just do draft stuff in general, prospect breakdowns, top tens, off-season, like entire off-season overhauls. I might be doing that for some other teams, not just the Chargers as well. So this is primarily a sorry, I just needed to make sure I was recording real quick, all behind the scenes there. This is primarily a draft coverage channel, prospect breakdown, stuff like that, but basically just the NFL. Sports with Schu. I used to like basketball a lot as well. I thought I might cover some basketball, but I don't really give a fuck about the NBA anymore, or right now at least. There's some guys I like, but anyway, pick number 1, Jacksonville. If you guys could trade out, I would. Don't really see anybody wanting to come up that bad. Like, Lions would take Aiden Hutchinson if you guys don't. But I think it's kind of a no-brainer. Higher floor than Kayvon Thibodeau. Close to the same ceiling. And you guys just can't miss on another prospect. You guys franchise tag Cam Robinson for a second time for some reason. Don't really know why you do that. And you guys drafted Walker Little, who I like a lot and think that he could play really either tackle position. But for me, Aiden Hutchinson, culture change, youth. I guess for the number 1 overall pick, not like a steal of a contract for the edge position, but at least it is the edge position. So guys like Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack are getting monster deals at the edge. So you're still getting a premium contract for the edge position. It's not like taking a safety number 1 overall. He's going to be one of the highest paid safeties in the NFL. So, number 1 overall, I'm going Aiden Hutchinson to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. This one, personally, Kayvon Thibodeau is my edge 1. It does depend a little bit on just where you are as a franchise. Detroit, you guys don't even have a QB. You guys, like this is showing, you guys have a lot of needs. Draft talent. Kayvon Thibodeau, one of the few blue chip talents in this draft. I like your guys' tackles, but I would go Kayvon Thibodeau, number 2 overall. Here, you guys might see a quick little something right there. Just my notes. I think Kayvon Thibodeau does have the highest ceiling, especially for the edge prospects in this class. Super athletic. From his interview, seemed like a pretty smart guy, but even as the Draft Network has it, team needs number one need is edge. Honestly, you guys had some other guys on the roster who I like and are solid pieces, the Aquaras. But in terms of projection, edge is a little bit easier than corner, and you guys don't want another Jeff Okuda. I think he's still going to be good, but you guys can't like afford to. I guess honestly, you could have just afford to suck for another year because you guys have forever. But let's change that by taking Kayvon Thibodeau, who I think has the highest ceiling in this draft. Now, Houston at number 3. You guys are in an interesting position. You guys are probably about to have a lot of draft picks from trading Deshaun Watson, but where do you guys go after that? I personally don't think that Davis Mills is the long-term solution for the Texans. And as the board has fallen, I would say protect a future quarterback. Evan Neal, you guys literally have holes everywhere on your roster. There's not a position that you guys should have crossed off for any pick in the draft because you guys need help everywhere. Evan Neal, the Draft Network's #1 player overall, one of the blue chip prospects. I would be very surprised if he didn't turn out to be at least a good NFL tackle. And whether it's honestly probably next year's draft, after you guys tank this year, hopefully for your guys' sake, get a Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, not really DJ. He didn't play that well this year, but next year's quarterback class is going to be better than this, and you want one of those lottery picks. But you don't want him to come into a team with nothing, especially no protection. Look at Justin Fields. So, preemptively preventing that, Evan Neal at number 3 to the Houston Texans. Jets. I was torn here a little bit between a couple of guys. Honestly, the 4 guys that are here on the board. Tackles, Kyle Hamilton, and Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley has true island potential. I go to LSU, I've watched him play, flip on the tape, as a true freshman. 2019, he comes in at 18 years old, locks everybody down at 18, 19 years old. Freak athlete, 4'3", 40-plus inch vertical. I think Bryce Hall's not bad, and you guys yes, need to add some weapons on the offense for Zach Wilson, where your O-line's not horrible. Once Mekhi Becton is back to 100%. I wouldn't hate tackle. I need to stop saying hate double words. But I wouldn't hate offensive tackle here. But I think Derek Stingley, you guys add something to that Brian Sala defense. Give him something to work with. Derek Stingley, highest ceiling for corners easily in this draft. I'm not that concerned about the injuries. He's been hurt a lot the last 2 years, but it's been not serious stuff. It's just kind of, I feel like he hasn't wanted to play for LSU, which who has the last 2 years we have blown. But you guys can go wide receiver, possibly at pick 10. I don't know. But I think Derek Stingley, it's not a no-brainer pick, but saying Stingley in a Jets jersey, that's what you guys need. You guys need a true island corner, somebody to build your defense around, or at least, I'm trying to think of your guys' defense. Bro, you guys don't have much. Quinn Williams, Bryce Hall. Do you guys still have CJ Mosley? I don't even know. But you guys need some pieces to that defense. I'm done talking about the fucking Jets for now. Derek Stingley, cry about it in the comments. Pick 5, New York Jets. This one I was torn about. First time I ran through, I wanted them to trade back, and I still want them to trade back, but I just don't know who would be super willing to come forward. Yes, the Seahawks need a quarterback technically, but I think, especially after releasing Bobby Wagner, they're diving headfirst into a rebuild, and it's not a 1 or 2 year rebuild. It's for sure not a 1 year rebuild. So I think trading up, being overconfident in your evaluation of this quarterback class, especially within the top 10 picks, wouldn't be a great idea. So first time I had the Seahawks trading up to get Malik Willis. I think the Seahawks are just being more realistic with where they are as a franchise. And Malik Willis, I don't think is going to be the answer. You guys need to overhaul your roster. That being said, Giants stick at 5. You guys have Andrew Thomas on the left side. I think you guys need to see what you have in Daniel Jones. Yes, that's been the idea the last couple of years, but I don't think Giants fans know. I don't think the Giants coaches know. I don't think the NFL knows if Daniel Jones is that guy. You guys got some weapons for him last year. Honestly, your wide receiving core is pretty solid if it stays healthy, but don't give him any excuses next year. I have them taking Ike Ekwonu to play right tackle, Andrew Thomas at left tackle. No more excuses for Daniel Jones. Figure out if he is that guy this year so that you guys can either continue to build around him, put him in the best possible situation to actually compete, or move on from him next year. No more of this, is he our guy or isn't he? Because I didn't think he was that guy when you guys drafted him. I feel like that's forever ago. I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. But we still don't know anything more about him. He's been more down than up, I think. But for some reason, Giants fans are holding on to him. So no more reasons. You guys now have a very, very good young tackle duo. Now here, Panthers, I think a no-brainer. We might have to scroll a little bit, not too far. Malik Willis, he sits for a year. Ideally, realistically, he's going to end up starting some games, but you guys are probably going to lose a good amount of games next year, whether it's with Sam Darnold or Malik Willis. But hopefully, you guys can fire Matt Rule, and the new regime can come in with a QB who has a little bit of experience and is on a rookie deal, a decent defense, and you guys can spend some picks building around Willis. I don't think you guys can roll with Sam Darnold all of next year. I mean, in a perfect world where wins and perception didn't matter at all, yes, just take other players to build around Darnold and then just completely tank and get a quarterback next year. But I don't think that's perfectly realistic for the Panthers, just because you guys have a pretty solid defense, some weapons on offense, and I could also see this being pretty realistic just because if Malik Willis does for some reason start to show out a little bit in his first year, it might save Matt Rule's job, your guys' front office jobs, just because they have that ticket of Malik Willis played well. You can't fire us. What if he continues to progress? You guys can't fire us. I think they still probably would, just because you guys have to know by now. Like, we fired Anthony Lynn after Justin Herbert broke many rookie records. So I'm going Malik Willis here at pick 6 for the Panthers. Pick 7, it's a need, best player at the position and position of value. This is also according, wow, the Draft Network has Trayvon Walker at 8. This is according to my draft board, and I have George Karlaftis way higher than 23. He is very explosive, extremely strong, lower half, good against the run, produced pretty well, has some inside-outside versatility. You guys just need guys on that defensive line. There's a couple of bad contracts. I think you guys know who I'm talking about. But a little bit, not necessarily a rebuild. Like, you want to keep that offense going, just like I said, to see what you have in Daniel Jones. But you guys definitely aren't ready to compete. And even if you were, this would still be a decent pick. Like I was saying with the first 2 picks, edge, corner, offensive tackle, those, and quarterback, those are the positions that I am most likely to target in round 1, just because it gives you a, yes, probably an upgrade at that position, and it is a more important position, but those are also the more expensive positions, and it gives you a good contract so that you can build through free agency elsewhere, if that makes sense. If you save money at edge, you can bring in some more veteran linebackers or safeties or interior D linemen or other positions if you want. But George Karlaftis is the next highest edge on my list. So I have the Giants taking Icky at 5 and George Karlaftis at 7. Now, the Ravens, I was blown away by this team. Going through the roster, this team is bad. Atlanta, you guys are bad. There's a lot of needs. I like obviously Kyle Pitts. I like AJ Terrell. You guys don't really have any receivers though. Like any receivers at all. Kind of stuck with Matt Ryan as well. You guys, it is a weak NFC, so maybe if Matt Ryan just has some just insane MVP season once again, like maybe make it to the playoffs, but Falcons fans, your roster is buns. That being said, you guys don't have any wide receivers. Calvin Ridley's out for this year. You guys have Kyle Pitts. He's my wide receiver 2 or 3, but I think the best fit in this offense, I wouldn't go Drake London. He's my wide receiver 1, but you guys have Kyle Pitts fulfill a similar role. Jameson Williams or Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson with Matt Ryan would be a little bit better of a combination. Garrett Wilson just moves differently, is able to get open so effortlessly. He has the tools as well. Freaky, spectacular catches, but I could just see him being a little bit better in short areas and underneath stuff, which, especially at this stage of Matt Ryan's career, I think you guys will need some separation underneath. So I have you guys going Garrett Wilson. Now, the Seattle Seahawks. My bad. This roster is not even close to being ready to compete, which you guys know. Like, offense, you guys have some decent receivers, but your O-line is not great. Defense, not great. I feel bad for Jamal Adams a little bit. don't think he deserves to be paid that much, but like he still got traded there. He thinks he wants to be on a team that competes. Seattle, you guys are not ready to compete, but you guys are going to have some a lot of first and second round picks. So possibly next year. CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, sweepstakes. But you guys need to protect him, protect them, whoever they might be one day. Don't want them coming in and just being thrown into the fire and developing bad habits. Give them a little bit of time. I have them taking Charles Cross. I think it's pretty realistic that he could slip for sure 2-9 a little bit into the first round. A lot of guys have him as their offensive tackle 1 though. Great in pass protection, which you guys are probably going to change schemes. I don't see why am I forgetting your head coach's name? Wow. Pete Carroll. He's like 70 years old. I don't think he's going to be coaching that much longer. I don't think he's going to retire this year, but possibly next or the year after. You guys are going to change schemes. Hopefully more pass heavy with a good rookie quarterback next year. But let's get you guys some protection with Charles Cross. This one, I hope we can all agree on. Probably the best fit in the draft. Drake London to the Jets. Great fit with Zach Wilson. Corey Davis doesn't need to be a wide receiver 1. Elijah Moore in the slot. Get Zach Wilson weapons. See what he can do. No brainer there. No brainer there. Now here, we have Carson Wentz. That was another unexpected event. I think that happened yesterday. From when I'm recording this, we had Russell, then we had Wentz, then we had Mack. Definitely biggest fan of the Khalil Mack trade. Go Colts, though. Getting Carson Wentz off your team and getting 2/3 somehow. That was pretty insane. But I'm not as low on Carson Wentz as a lot of people in the media are. Yes, he hasn't been great, but he's going to a pretty good situation in Washington. There's some weapons. You have Terry, you have De'Ami Brown, you have Curtis Samuel, who's your tight end? Not Logan Ryan. I don't know. Your guys' is pretty good tight end, Logan something. Why can't I remember his name? That's going to bug me. But he has some weapons. But when Wentz was at his best, he had all of the weapons, and he played like an MVP. He would have been the MVP. You guys already have a pretty good defense. I don't think Jameson Williams would be the best fit for you guys just because Terry, De'Ami, they can kind of fulfill that deep threat role. I think Chris Olave is a better separator than Jameson Williams, especially early in their careers. Chris Olave, just like everybody else says, extremely smooth, but a good separator, a plus athlete still. And Carson Wentz needs weapons. I'm higher on Olave than Burks, especially now by a lot. Overall, I do still like Williams more, but for Washington, I think I like the fit with Chris Olave a little bit more. Wide receivers, kind of no-brainer here. I could see possibly corner, but I think you just can't give Carson Wentz any excuses in his first year with the Washington Commanders. They need to change the little graphic there. So I have them taking Chris Olave at pick 11. This one is also a pretty easy pick. I've seen it mocked a lot as well, but you guys have a very big need at corner. And honestly, I would be kind of surprised if Sauce was still there at 12. But in this scenario, he is. I think he's the only other corner in this draft who has island potential just because he has so much experience already in press man. But like, even if you're experienced, that doesn't mean you're good at it. But he has the build, he has the athleticism to play press man almost every single snap for his entire career. And if he turns out, if you guys catch that high end of what he could be, I think he could be an island corner. And you guys are in the NFC. NFC is pretty weak right now. Yes, you're in the Packers division, but Kirk Cousins, I think, is still a good quarterback. Either you guys trade him, I say, and just go full rebuild and hope to be coming up when the Packers are coming down, or you guys just take a shot, do what you can to try and win now, make it to the playoffs, and hope for some upsets. And I think Ahmad Gardner would give you guys the best chance at that just because he's a pretty pro-ready corner. Now, you guys have a huge need at wide receiver, the Browns. Especially last year, you guys had such a good roster, and overall, you guys still have a very good roster, good O-line, good defense, good pieces on defense. I could honestly see you guys going edge. I wouldn't hate that, but Baker, you guys need to see what you have in Baker. There's a gray area in the NFL that, as a fan, I would hate. As a Chargers fan, I don't experience it because we know what we have in Justin Herbert. But Baker Mayfield, you guys kind of need to figure out if he is that guy or isn't he. He's closer to being that guy than I think Daniel Jones is, but you guys don't have any receivers. Donovan Peoples-Jones, good jump ball guy, decent like wide receiver 3, but like Rashard Higgins, Juice Landry, Jarvis. This is handle juice or something. I don't know why I said that. Jarvis Landry is a free agent. I think your guys' biggest need is wide receiver. See what you have in Baker. Don't give him any fucking excuses unless he hurts his shoulder again or whatever. But I have the Cleveland Browns at pick 13 going with Jamison Williams. I've already said that I go to LSU. So there's a lot of Saints fans around this area, and I was just thinking about the other day, but if the Saints decide that they have a good roster, but if they decide that they're not in a position to necessarily compete right now or this season, I think a Michael Thomas trade to the Browns would make so much sense. Browns need a receiver. Browns have the space, have the need, have the draft capital to make a Michael Thomas trade. It's cross conference. NFC to AFC. I think that just makes a lot of sense, but I'm not doing that kind of trade in here. So I have them going Jameson Williams, give Baker Mayfield a true speed weapon. Anthony Schwartz isn't bad. He is a deep threat, but he's not really a complete receiver. I think Jameson Williams is much more of a complete receiver, a better run after the catch, a better route runner. Very good hands, I think. If the Chargers took him at 17, I wouldn't even hate it. But I think between the need at receiver and it's a pretty good fit, and you guys just need to see what you have in Baker, I would go Jameson Williams at pick 13. And then here, I'm sure that there are going to be people in the comments. No way he falls this far. But he ran a 4.59. That's going to scare away teams in the top 5, I think. Turn on the tape. He's faster than 4.59. But if you're drafting a guy in the top 5, especially a safety, you want him to be everything and more. He needs to be ridiculous athlete, ridiculous on tape, ridiculously versatile. And Kyle Hamilton is almost all those things, but he didn't run like sub 4.5. That's what you wanted to see picking him in the top 5. Once you got outside the top 5, teams just couldn't afford to take a safety. They needed to hit at different positions, and then a team like the Browns, they just don't really have a need at safety. I thought about Kyle Hamilton at every single pick, but once he got to the Ravens, like, come on. This would be incredibly scary for NFL offenses all around the league. Ravens always seem like they have a good defense, but I think that they could afford to take a safety as well. Kyle Hamilton on the Ravens defense, like, come on. That's just scary. With his versatility, how smart he is too, I think he would just be deployed extremely well in their defense, as well as, like, I want to say Marcus Peters and I can't remember your other corner's name. Marlon Humphrey. I want to say that both of them were hurt for not all of last year. Marcus Peters might have been. They were hurt for a good amount of last year, but taking a guy like Kyle Hamilton, your guys' team, from one year to the next, I mean, you guys have always had a pretty good secondary, but Kyle Hamilton at pick 14, good value, as well as bringing you guys back to being an elite defense. Eagles, this is a fun draft for Eagles fans. 3 picks in the top 20. Your guys' defense is horrible. Like, horrible. I've seen this one mocked a lot, and I am a fan of it. Where is... Okay. Devin Lloyd is getting Fred Warner comps. You guys need to address wide receiver. I like Devontae Smith. I don't really think I like any of your other guys. I like Dallas Goedert. But Jalen Reagor, JJ Arcega, Whiteside, they're not solving anything, but for me, 15 is just a little bit too rich for Treylon Burks. He's just slipping a lot for me. Just did not have a great combine, did not check any boxes. If anything, just raised a lot of questions about his athleticism. But your guys' defense just blows. Devin Lloyd at pick 15. Pick 16. There's a player who is slipping on my board right here, Mr. Trent McDuffie, probably a top 10 player. He had a pretty good combine, but Bruce Feldman's freaks list guy. Darius Slay is good, but your guys' defense just needs an overhaul, and you guys are one of the only teams with the draft capital to do it. Trent McDuffie at pick 16, I think, would be really good value. Like I've been talking about, cornerback, pretty expensive position. As well as just adding an elite, explosive, sticky corner to that secondary to pair with Darius Slay Devin Lloyd in the middle manning that defense, you guys are starting to get somewhere a little bit on that defense at least. So I have the Eagles going with Trent McDuffie at 16. And then here, actually, I forgot that I don't think you can trade with. Yeah. So I have a trade occurring. So nobody freak out. You can't trade in here. But the Steelers are trading up from pick 20 to pick 17 with the Chargers for a third and a fourth. Only 3 picks. I think it's realistic, a realistic haul. Might be less, might be this, or it might be more. Just because I could see them getting into a bidding war with like the Saints or Bucks. But I have the Steelers trading up to take Sam Howell, who is my QB2. Okay, so here he is. I think he's one of the most win now guys. Second best traits behind Malik Willis. You guys have a good roster. You guys have good receivers. Sam Howell, when he had weapons around him in college, looked like a top 5 pick. His entire offense got drafted, but you give him pieces on that offense like Deontay Johnson, like Chase Claypool, like Najee. I think that Sam Howell would be the next quarterback taken, and I think Pittsburgh is in a you guys just have too good of a roster. I should also clarify that these picks are with assuming or not assuming, like knowing that you guys haven't done anything in free agency, because this is all going to change dramatically by next week because a lot of positions and holes will be filled on teams, so where they go in the draft will be slightly more obvious. But if the Pittsburgh Steelers don't address quarterback, I have them trading up from pick 20 to pick 17 to take Sam Howell. So that was the Steelers pick. Chargers pick is at 20, but you can't trade back in the draft network. At pick 18, the Saints. I think that you guys will probably be bringing back Jameis Winston, but like I just said, I'm not acting like I know anything that's going to happen in free agency. But the Saints are tough because it's a weak NFC. You guys have an okay roster, a good defense, but it really comes down to whether the Saints decide that they're win now, they want to do what they can to compete now, or have a little mini rebuild, fix your guys' cap issues. I think that you guys are more likely to bring in a free agent quarterback, and Sam Howell was just taken before you guys. Don't really see any value in, or I don't see great value in these other quarterbacks at this position. So I have you guys going with wow. He is way lower on the draft network's big board. See, this is why I like to use different big boards, just to see what the overall consensus is on some of these guys. So Bernard Raymond at like overall 52. I think he could come in, and you guys are losing Teron Armstead. You guys have Ryan Ramczyk at right tackle. Keep your guys' O-line as a strength. Get cheaper at the position by going with Ryman. He's going to be okay year one, but he's a converted tight end. He's still figuring out the O-line a little bit, but he's a really good athlete, and I think he could be a capable to good left tackle for you guys for years, for whenever you guys do find that long-term option at quarterback. Eagles, I still think that it's rich for Treylon Burks at pick 19, but you need to address that offense. You need somebody else other than Devontae Smith. I like your guys' run game with Hurts and Sanders, but I think he would add to that quick game in terms of screens, end arounds, and he does have that wide back potential to possibly take some snaps out of the backfield. And you guys could just dive headfirst into the strength of your team, which I think is the high floor of being a running read option team with Jalen Hurts. So I have you guys going with Treylon Burks, who ideally, I would say honestly, you guys trade back maybe, but not really many QB needy teams who would want to trade up this far because pick 20, that's the Chargers pick now. So if you guys could trade back, I would, but I have you guys going Treylon Burks, add some weapons for Jalen Hurts outside of Devontae Smith. At pick 20, I was torn originally between Trayvon Walker and Andrew Booth for the Chargers. And originally I went Trayvon Walker because they're pretty equal needs, but getting a great pass rush against Wilson and Mahomes feels like a better idea than getting another corner, especially if Walker can learn anything from Bosa. ... That's my notes before today. We got Khalil Mack. We're not going edge in round 1 because he wouldn't see the field. So I'm just going to flip 2 picks in this draft, which I think the Chargers would just go Andrew Booth at pick 20. Pretty big need at this point, and he is he's a tier down from the top 3 guys, but he's got good size, great feet. I think he's I'm about to say juicy, but he's got like a juiced up lower half. I think he's pretty explosive. So I have the Chargers going Andrew Booth Jr., cornerback out of Clemson. That's going to be a scary defense. Wow. At pick 21, I really wanted to go with receiver here at pick 21 for the Patriots, but I just don't really see much value at pick 21 anymore between Sky Moore, Jahan Dotson, Christian Watson. At pick 21, that's just a little bit rich for me. I don't think you guys are really in a position to compete that much in the AFC. So it's a need for you guys. Keep giving Bill Belichick some weapons for that defense. Actually, I guess I'm going to flip 2 picks then. So I'm going to have the Patriots take Trayvon Walker just because he is ahead of Jermaine Johnson on my personal board. And originally I had the Chargers taking Trayvon Walker, but if he was there at 21, I would have the Patriots go Trayvon Walker, giving Bill Belichick a guy like Trayvon Walker. That is scary. In my notes for the Raiders, I just have pray. Like, that's kind of all you guys can do. Offense just can't keep up with no receivers on the board, really. So build up the defense while praying. That's what I have in my notes, and I had you guys taking Andrew Booth, but with what happened today, I had the Chargers take Booth. So now I'm just flipping it to Jermaine Johnson at pick 10. Huge need. You guys need an edge. Chargers just got Khalil Mack, your guy. Cleveland Farrell is that's not an answer. Really just build up your defense. And I guess kind of, if I were you, I would trade Derek Carr. Just kind of try and, yeah, you guys are just fucked. Like, I would say try and have your ascent be paired with the descent of the other teams in the division, kind of like the Vikings or the teams in the NFC North pairing their rise with the Packers' fall in a couple years. But the AFC West isn't going to fall because there's Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Russell Wilson will be pretty good for a couple years, but there's not really an end in sight. You guys need a quarterback in a couple years. Derek Carr is not going to win you a fucking Super Bowl. That being said, just like go the opposite direction, I guess. Build up your defense. I could think of reasons why, but honestly, you guys just need to do something different and just pray. You guys are taking Jermaine Johnson 22. Corner is a huge need for the Arizona Cardinals. Interior O-line is need, but I would rather take Elam than Kaiir Elam, than Kendrick Green, who didn't really have that great of a combine. Plus, it's a little bit better value here at pick 23. One given the option. Kaiir's definitely in a tier with Andrew Booth. They might be the last two guys, or the only two guys in that tier. But I have the Arizona Cardinals going with Kaiir Elam. Here at pick 24, I liked Dean or Davis. Nakobe Dean or Jordan Davis, that is. Honestly, I would be surprised if on draft day Jordan Davis did make it this long. But if I was the Cowboys, I would go Dean just because he adds more to the pass defense. And I think Dean and Davis would equally allow Parsons to just roam free, rush the passer, do what he does best, and just be a freak. But having Nakobe Dean and Micah Parsons, that's going to be a problem, and I think he just adds an element to the linebacker core that Micah Parsons doesn't. Parsons could honestly be good in coverage, but I would rather just have him rushing the passer, really. So your other linebacker, I would prefer to have a little bit of an upgrade, especially with Leighton Vander Esch being a free agent. So I have the Dallas Cowboys at pick 24 going with Nakobe Dean. Pick 25, Harrison Phillips is leaving. Your guys' run defense was not great last year either way. But I think adding a guy like Devontae Wyatt would help your entire D-line. You guys have invested a lot in your D-line, especially your edges, over the past couple of years. Wow, it's already almost been a 50-minute video. That's kind of normal for... This was my first round mock draft. So Buffalo Bills, I have you guys going Devontae Wyatt. I think is a little bit more disruptive than Jordan Davis. He's probably the most disruptive D tackle in this class in terms of getting into the backfield. I think he can add more from day one as a pass rusher for sure than Jordan Davis. And he's very good against the run as well. If Jordan Davis hadn't showed out like he did at the combine, we would be talking about Devontae Wyatt in that light. But I think Devontae Wyatt can add more from pass rush stance early, and the Bills are kind of in a win now situation. So I have them going Devontae Wyatt at pick 25. At pick 26, Ben Jones, your guys' starting center, is a free agent. Not UDFA. Is it UDFA? Or just UFA? UFA. Unrestricted free agent. So I have you guys stopping Linderbaum's fall. I would be floored if he fell out of the first round. I don't think that would really happen. So keeping your O-line of strength for your play action heavy scheme, letting Derrick Henry cook a little bit, not having Ryan Tannehill have to be a huge creator. Just keeping your O-line of strength, I think, is important, as well as Tyler Linderbaum he's a blue chip prospect, realistically. You know that he's going to be for sure a top half of the league center from day one. Within a couple of years, probably a top 10 to top 5 center for a very long time. And for a team that's losing their starting center, I think it just makes a lot of sense, especially at pick 26. You guys are losing 2 starters on your O-line. I want to say both interior O-line as well. Yeah, 2 players on your interior O-line, losing some on your D-line too as well. But you guys have some weapons in your front 7 of your defense. And I don't know where you guys are going to go for quarterback, honestly, because tagging Godwin was interesting, and you guys do have a good roster. But whoever the quarterback is, you want to keep. I guess your guys' O-line has been pretty good, especially just based around / built around Tristan Wirfs. But I think Kendrick Green would make a lot of sense here. You guys are losing a lot of talent and consistency to free agency, and I might be special here. I think I passed Kendrick Green. Kenyon Green, not Kendrick Green. I'm special. Make that O-line a strength, or at least don't let it become a weakness, I would say, so that whatever quarterback you guys do get in there, there's a decent roster in place already, but a bad O-line can kill your team. Like, point, end. That's it. A bad O-line, even a couple, like 1 or 2 bad guys on your O-line. Sometimes, if they're tackles, you can protect them by chipping with tight ends, double teams. Guards, you can sometimes, but you can get exposed really fast. Look at the last 2 Super Bowls. If you have a bad O-line, you can be a great team. You can catch lightning in a bottle, get to the Super Bowl. You face a good pass rush, you're done. You're not winning that game. Kenyon Green, prevent that from happening if you guys get a good quarterback at some point soon. Green Bay Packers. This one of my favorite picks in the draft, I think. How far down is the guy that I'm taking here at pick 57? The Draft Network's board and my board look very different. I have the Green Bay Packers going with Sky Moore. He gets open. I think that they need to go wide receiver. It can't just be Devontae Adams out there. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is a free agent this year. And even if he was still there, Aaron Rodgers hasn't really had other receivers or guys to throw to other than Devontae Adams. And getting Sky Moore, a guy who I think is clearly above Jahan Dotson for me, just because he had a better combine. I think he separates a little bit easier, and he has a little bit better frame, I think. While especially the thing that I want to drill home, I think he's a better route runner. Giving Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Sky Moore, I think that, I don't know if it would take the offense to a different level, but it would add more consistency and reliability, which they need, especially in the playoffs. So I have the Packers going with Sky Moore at pick 28. This one, he probably won't be there at this pick. But this one would be one of the biggest no-brainers. Dolphins, fix your O-line. Trevor Penning. Might not be standout, amazing year one, but year two, year three, you're going to see more improvement, and you guys just need to swing the bat at O-line and preferably hit at O-line. Trevor Penning, pick 29. Here, you guys need an edge. No Melvin Ingram. You guys need to get cheap at a premium position. You guys have a lot of money, a lot of money tied into a few players. So getting cheaper at premium positions is something that the Chiefs kind of have to do. And getting especially the Draft Network's board, clearly the biggest faller right now, David Ojabo, at pick 30 would be a steal, as well as doing anything you can to help prevent Chris Jones from having to play out on the edge. Even if you guys don't have anybody else, I don't think he should be, just because he's so dominant from the inside and he's not as productive from the outside. So doing what you can to prevent that, as well as when Chris Jones does play on the inside, having David Ojabo just gives offensive line something else to think about a little bit. You guys don't really have that. It's just Chris Jones a little bit. And you guys had some guys last year, but you're losing a lot of that pass rush, a lot of depth at D line. And David Ojabo, I think, would be a very, very, very solid pick for the Chiefs at pick 30. This one, I'm a huge fan of the Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell pick for the Bengals last year. That being said, you guys do need to address the O-line this year. And Zion Johnson, day one, very good guard in the NFL. He had a great Senior Bowl. He had a good combine. What more could you ask this late in the first round? There are other places that you could go, I guess, but you guys got to protect Joe Burrow. And this is assuming you guys don't do anything in free agency. Hopefully you guys do. You guys have some cap space. But Zion Johnson, I would feel very, very confident in being a good day one guard for the Bengals. And with the last pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, I have the Detroit Lions going with Desmond Ridder. Why not take a shot at a QB? You guys need upgrades everywhere, but if he pans out, great. If not, you guys could probably flip him for honestly, Josh Rosen got what, a first or a second? I want to say a second. You guys could probably flip him for a second next year, and then you guys will be picking at the top of the draft next year, take another quarterback. I think the Lions are one of the only teams who are in a position to do something like that, as well as you guys are starting to build in the trenches a little bit, and I think Desmond Ridder has a little bit of a read option threat to run, at least more than the other quarterbacks still available. And it could add an element to this offense with DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You guys need some other weapons, TJ Hawkinson. But they need to take a lot of home run swings. Detroit has been bad for a pretty long time, even with Stafford. Never great. So why not take a shot at QB? If Desmond Ridder turns out to be a top 10 quarterback, great. If not, you can flip him for a second next year, and you guys are in a position to where that doesn't really matter. Like, waste a year, kind of, but you're tanking in the process. It's either Jared Goff or Desmond Ridder. I'm going Desmond Ridder. So that is going to do it for my first NFL full mock draft. Fans of every team, let me know what you think of my pick for your team, unless you're a team who didn't have a first round pick, like the Bears and the Rams, I want to say. Maybe some other teams. Let me know what you would have done instead. Let me know what you want your team to do in free agency as well, so that maybe some of these picks look foolish in a week from now. But this is the first Sports with Schu full NFL mock draft. Like, subscribe, comment. As I normally say, talk shit, argue. I love it. That's what I'm here for. And I will see you guys in the next video, probably Monday or Tuesday. See you then.